My name is Patrick Glover, and have just finished a graduate diploma in journalism, and am a mad sports supporter and fan who has been wanting to do sports journalism for a while, and now finally getting an opportunity to hit the airways with some news about sport.
I'm Celeste Newbury. Thanks for tuning in for our first episode of Play Ball. And mainly played in many junior tournaments. She's used to winning and is going to have to learn how to when she starts playing the senior professional tournaments.
Yeah, sure.
So,
Sorry, she just recently won the Junior Wimbledon Championship a couple of years ago?
Last year she would have, probably
so.
a few before then. So
Yeah.
Up and coming player, looking forward to seeing more of her, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
But Bernard Tomic has made himself known to the media for all the wrong reasons lately. His off-court antics have actually given him a ban from Australia's next Davis Cup tie from Pat Rafter.
Yeah.
And then in the next controversial decision, Tomic has not made himself available for their following match in April, and he thinks that he and Rafter will not talk again until September, which is a bit not very Australian patriotic, let's all stick together type of thing, really, is it?
No, that's right. You would have thought Paddy Rafter being one of the legends of Australian tennis, and Bernard Tomic obviously one of the up-and-comers, you want to kind of have a good relationship there, especially seeing he's the Davis Cup coach. You can't really have a rift there.
Yeah, but then I suppose it's good to not encourage his recent behaviour, and so hopefully he gets in line and sorts himself out for the big 2013 season.
Yeah, well, that's right. Hopefully he's turned a bit of a corner.
Yeah. I've recently discovered, because I'm such a tennis lover, the wonderful world of live streaming on the internet, which is also what we're doing right now. The matches played at the Hobart tournament aren't actually televised on TV, so you are able to live stream centre court matches. And so last night I was actually able to live stream a full match of a player that I know, and I haven't had to watch a full match. I've been able to watch a full match of hers since I met her 5 years ago, so it's pretty exciting stuff for me.
Yeah.
We also had the Brisbane tournament last week, where Andy Murray won the men's section and Serena Williams won the women's side, which is probably, she was always going to win it, I think, from the start.
Yeah.
And also there is a tournament in Auckland at the moment. The men's is this week and the women's was last week. See, even names like Tommy Haas, Gail Monfries, Xavier Malise and Philip Kohlschreiber are still in Auckland, so there's names everywhere at the moment. And then there's also the Sydney tournament. Hasn't been that kind to the Australians so far, with Casey Delacroix, Sam Stosur, John Millman, Marinko Matzovic, James Duckworth and Matthew Ebden all bowing out in the first and second rounds.
Wow. Yeah,
so the only one we've got left is bad boy Bernard Tomic, who takes on Jakob Nieminen in his third round match.
Yeah, well, Sammy Stosur, she's hit a bit of a form slump at
Rut.
the moment. Yeah, she's struggling, especially here. I don't know, she's something like lost 5 out of her last 8 games in Australia, I think.
Yeah, and first round losses.
Yeah, so hopefully she can find some form for the Australian Open.
She's looking as fit as ever, but maybe not playing her best.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, I don't know how much that injury layoff just before the end of last year had much of an effect or not, or what's going on there. But
everyone seems to be commenting on her arms. She must have bulked up a bit since people saw her last. So
Alright.
asking her how she does it.
Yeah.
And so just earlier today, Hewitt has got himself into the final of the Kooyong Classic, just on the outskirts of Melbourne, so that's exciting for him.
Yeah, good win.
Even though he's been 13 years on tour, played for 13 years, won his first title in 1998 as a 16-year-old, so he's doing well to keep going with that.
Yeah, definitely.
And his first title was used to be the Adelaide International Men's Tournament, which has now been taken over by the World Tennis Challenge.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. It's been happening. I think it's on at the moment. The last day, the final day is tonight, and we've got people like Martina Hingis and Martina Navratilova come over here, and Henri Lecon as well. So
always entertaining.
Yeah, that's right. So to have people like that as well as.
Yeah, it's also entertaining for when the former pros come and give the crowd a bit of fun to look at.
Especially on Henri Lecon, he always offers plenty for the crowd.
Seems like a funny bloke.
Yeah.
I may be a bit behind the times, but I've only just joined Twitter in the last 6 months, so I'm still getting the hang of it, but I do love it. I think I've sort of got the hang of it now, and it's easier. I love it to keep up with the tennis scores, because if you follow like the page of the tournament, then they'll just keep feeding the scores of every game they've got going on, so that's really good to keep up with that. And last night when I was trying to live stream the match, there were some technical difficulties, and as I just got on Twitter, sent them a tweet, and straight away they had it fixed and tweet me back, and that was all fixed. So that was great, where would we be without social media? I do not know.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And also, have you heard about the new time rule they've introduced? Do you know anything about that? No. Well, some players are struggling with it. If they take more than 25 seconds to serve, they get a warning. And if they do it again, take more than 25 seconds to serve, it's a code violation and their first serve is taken away.
Wow.
One of the Aussies, Matthew Ebden, bit of a fiery bloke, had his first serve taken away, and he was obviously not happy about that, had a bit of go at the umpire, but the rules are the rules, so the umpire's only enforcing them.
Well, that's right. Exactly.
So it is funny how the game of tennis has evolved with the Hawkeye and the challenges and all of that. They've been showing on Channel 7 repeats of previous Australian Open games. I was watching one from 1996 between Arantxa Sanchez Vicario and Chantel Rubin. Not sure if you've heard of those. They didn't even have a towel with the ball kids, or after the second set, umpire was like, okay, third set, it started straight away, no breaks. I thought that was a little bit different.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. Like, obviously, it's just all second nature for us now watching tennis. You just figure, there's a towel waiting there for the players, and you have those breaks in between sets. You just assume that's just common practice.
And it's funny how different, like it was obviously a women's match, and how the difference in power and how they've changed their whole game. Yeah, so.
Is there still the grunting going on back then?
Yes, as far as I can remember. Yeah. Still don't. It's funny though. I still. Like when I was speaking to some tennis players, they don't actually know that they're making the grunting sound, because one of the girls has made a quite weird sound. I won't try and imitate it. But when we were talking to her about it, she said, "What sound? I don't know that I'm making a grunting noise. It's just they're concentrating so hard and trying so hard that they don't even know that it's." Well, I wonder if Maria Sharapova knows. Has someone who should have recorded her by now?
Surely she's seen replays of herself. The amount of video reviews they'd have to do of their own games and watching opponents and stuff, surely they'd see themselves and go, right,
better try and stop that. Yeah. So you've got some cricket news for us now?
Yes, it's obviously sort of coming towards the end of the Aussie summer, or it's hit the halfway point really, with the Test series just finishing, and the one-day international is just about to start. But the big news of the recent weeks has been the retirement of Michael Hussey.
Oh yes, of course.
Who's retiring after 79 tests, 185 one-day internationals, and 38 2020s. So yeah, fastest player to reach 1,000 runs after just 166 days.
Yeah.
And this is a decision that's sort of come a bit out of the blue after he's only been around since about 2005, after having waited his time in first class cricket for a while. Didn't make his debut until nearly 30, so
Many people didn't see it coming, is that?
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a shock, especially in the form that he's been in at the moment. He's been averaging around the 50s, 60s mark over the summer, and been making hundreds, and him and Michael Clarke have got Australia out of a few tricky situations in the past couple of tests against South Africa and Sri Lanka to a lesser extent. But yeah, so interesting decision, but obviously he's come out and said that family reasons is he just spends too much time away from his family, and obviously having 3 kids, it's a little bit difficult spending most of the year away. So
fair enough, good family man.
Yeah, that's right. So played his last test in Sydney, and surprisingly enough hasn't been selected for the first 2 one-day internationals against Sri Lanka, which is a little bit
disappointing.
Yeah, that's right. And there's been a few selection decisions that hasn't sat well with Channel 9 and the general public, with the Australian selectors picking sort of a second string side for the first 2 games, stating that they're sort of preparing for the 2015 World Cup. But you see names like Brad Haddon, David Hussey, Mitchell Johnson, Clint McKay. Those blokes have been around for a while, so I can't really see how they're looking for the 2015 World Cup if you've got blokes like that still on the side. But obviously you need to give your blokes like your David Warners and Michael Clarkes a bit of a rest, having seen they've been on the road since June, July last year, with their starting tours in England over there, and then obviously with important tours of India and England coming up, the Ashes obviously over there, and then back here as well, and the Champions League.
It's going to be a big couple of years.
It's going to be a full-on year this year, and then the World Cup over here in 2015 as well. So it's going to be pretty full-on next couple of years for the Aussie team. So it's understandable, but it would have been nice to see.
Give him a send-off.
Yeah, well, that's right. It would have been nice to see Mike Hussey for a few more games, but just because he hasn't been selected in the first 2 games, I guess doesn't mean we won't see him for the rest of the summer. And there's talk that he might be playing for the Perth Scorchers in tonight's game against the Adelaide Strikers. So,
and that's in Adelaide, so that's another thing happening.
Yeah,
we've got right across the road from the tennis.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, it'll be pretty shockers. It's Memorial Drive there tonight. So yeah, that's another important game. The Adelaide Strikers need to win that game to make the finals, or if you're a Perth Scorchers fan, they need to win to make the finals. So and whoever wins out of that game tonight gets a home final. So that'll be good for whoever wins that game. So it'll be pretty full on. It's been a big couple of months of cricket, well, not only with the international cricket, but also the Big Bash League, which is obviously with the Strikers and the Scorchers tonight, sort of coming to an end, with the finals coming up in the next couple of weeks. So and that leads on to my next point, I guess, about.
I think I can guess what you're going to say now.
About Shane Warne and Marlon Samuels. Warne got himself in a bit of strife the other night.
Never too far from the media, is he?
Yeah, that's right. Can't stay away from the spotlight for too long, can he? So Warne received a 1-game ban and a $4,500 fine for throwing the ball at Marlon Samuels and then verbally abusing him as well. So, but it'd be interesting to see what Marlon Samuels' penalty is as well. He threw his bat.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
So that should be interesting to see what he gets. But Warne isn't the first person to have a crack at Marlon Samuels through this BBL series. He's come under a bit of fire from all over the place. Darren Lehman accused him of chucking his cricket ball about a month ago, and Darren Berry, the coach of the Adelaide Strikers here, had a crack at him a couple of weeks back in Melbourne. So And then he's going to come up against the Aussies in a couple of weeks' time. Once they've finished playing the Sri Lankans, they come up against the West Indies. So,
but I did see an interview, Cricket Australia, saying that it's good for the competitiveness of the sport. But I don't know whether that's crossing the line, or are they just being competitive?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, and I guess it's Shane Warne as well as always. But there is, as you say, there's a fine line, I guess, between competitiveness and just abusiveness, and but yeah, I think you can kind of see where both parties are coming from. I think Shane Warne he just gets very into the games that he's involved in, and I think it was just a sort of a spur of the moment thing, and Marlon Samuels had a run in earlier with David Hussey, preventing him from going for a second run by pulling on his shirt, which is obviously unsportsmanlike. You can't do that, but
not in the gentleman's game.
No, that's exactly right. So I think Warnie's just sort of trying to stick up for his teammates as well, and
as he would, yeah.
Yeah, and that's right. So obviously a good sport on that part, but obviously not setting a good example for the younger generation, which the 2020 is aimed at. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, I guess.
And he'll be back for the final anyway. So.
Well, that's right. Missed the game on Tuesday, Wednesday night, and be back for the finals that the Stars will be in. So, yeah, I'm sure he'll be looking forward to that. So.
And we've also got the Tour Down Under coming up.
Yes, that starts in 10 days, I believe. So
another big event for South Australia.
Yeah, it always is, and I personally am looking forward to it. And having become a bit of a cycling fan myself in the last couple of years, and especially with the likes of Andy Schleck and Andre Greipel that being the two big draw cards this year. So they're arriving today, I think, in the next couple of days. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, but so with the last year's big drug scandal, do you think people will lose interest with cycling altogether, or does this make people more determined to know what's going on?
I don't know. It's hard to say, I guess, and I think it will have definitely have an effect. Whether it's obviously it won't be a positive one, but I think it's always been there, and obviously with your Alberto Contadors and people like that, and Frank Schleck, even Andy Schleck's brother, being done last year, and Contador being stripped of his Tour de France title a couple of years ago for testing positive to drugs. I think it's always been around, but now that the Lance Armstrong saga's come about, it's just on a bigger scale, and I think it will have an effect, definitely. Whether it deters people from going to the events, I don't think so. I don't think it would have much of an effect at all, and as long as the cyclists can still push through it and they're still happy to go, I think there's been a few major sponsors that have pulled out here and there, which will have an effect on the financial side of things, but I think it will just be minor.
Yeah, well, I did see that Lance Armstrong was in discussions with the US anti-doping agency and the CEO there of a possibility of a public admission for taking performance-enhancing drugs. They said that it was the quickest way for him to get back into competing, and he could compete in amateur events. If he's willing to do that, does this imply that he is like, finally, yes, I actually did it?
Yeah, well, it'd be interesting to see. He's obviously got that out there, and he's come out and said that he's going to do an interview on the 17th of January, I believe, with Oprah Winfrey.
Yep.
So that'll be interesting to see what he has to say on that. But obviously he's retired from professional cycling twice now, so I don't know whether he obviously won't want to come back and join the professional peloton, but he has had a bit of interest in the amateur events I've seen, even in like the triathlons. I think he's been doing a couple towards the middle and end of last year, before this saga sort of became prominent, and so I think if he has that love and that passion for the for the sport and for any sport in that matter. I think he'll probably want to come out and try and clear his name.
That's good. And have we got any footy news to finish off with?
Footy news. There's always something going on in footy. It's obviously I'll start on a little bit of a sad note. Young Fremantle player Anthony Morabito has left the training track early yesterday after twisting his leg awkwardly, and scans last night revealed that he'll have to have his third knee reconstruction in as many years. So that's not good for someone that's been touted as was a high draft pick a couple of years ago and has been touted as a sort of a future gun. So it'll be so fingers crossed he can make it back. And it's been said that once you've had 3 knee recos, it's pretty much game over. But fingers crossed the young lad he can come back, and
if he's young, he'll bounce back.
Well, that's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. So hopefully he can make it back in the Freo's list and sort of a bit to say in their future. But so and also the Kangaroos and the Geelong Cats have sort of formed a little relationship.
Joined forces. Sorry.
Yeah, with the two Scott brothers. There's
yes.
obviously a bit of connection there already, but it's been revealed that they're going to have a sort of training sessions with each other on Friday mornings for the next couple of months. Sort of game simulations, and you can have umpiring boss Jeff Geishan come out and sort of oversee things and talk through rules and stuff with them. So that'll be interesting. And obviously Melbourne as well, been in the headlines recently for their tanking investigations, and obviously that's still going on, and have been talking about the effects of their members base and whether that's going to have any effect on with the tanking investigation going on, and a few players getting in trouble for the Boxing Day tests.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see, and fingers crossed for them that their supporters stay loyal and hang around for a bit. But they've done some good recruiting this year, so hopefully they can bounce back from a bad season last year. But
well, I think that's just about it for us.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to our first episode. Please stay tuned for weekly podcast updates, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah. Thank you.